Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, I'm looking forward to spending some crafty time with you. One of the questions I've been asked is about blending and colours that don't particularly blend well together, how you get round that. Also about our brushes, our lovely Lavinia stencil brushes. So this is the design I've come up with. And I am aware we've got some lovely new friends and followers, and that you may be often we get asked, what colours ink shall we buy when we're starting off? What stamp shall we get? You know, and obviously I always say, go with what you like. You know, if you're a floral person, get some florals. You know, if you're into fairies, get at least one fairy. But I would always say it's always good to have a tree. And I know that probably sounds a bit daft, but a tree is such a good stamp. So, for example, here, I've created this design. I really went off sort of like lovely warm summer colours. But again, it could be autumn. But this tree, it's a beautiful oak tree. You could add foliage to it. You could add berries to it. If you just did this in grey, it could be a sympathy card. And I think there's something about a tree. You could add birds, you know, you could add bats. There's lots of things you can add to make it something else. It could be part of a forest. You could multiple stamp it. So it's just that bare beginnings, but you can make a design with just that one stamp. Now I've gone for one of our sticker stencils, our sentiment lovely stickers, sorry, and this one I've put adventure, because again, if somebody was going off backpacking for 12 months, this will be a lovely card, or it would be designed to go in your journal if you're heading off on an adventure. So that's the way my head is thinking with this one. And it starts off multifarious card, and this is A6 size. And I'm going to use this beautiful arch sticker stencil, and this comes from set 5. And in set 5, look, we've got the circle. Now, as you know, I use that a lot. We've got the arch, the lovely crescent moon here, and the square. All, I think, very, very useful. And again, when you're starting off, for me, these are basics. You can use them again and again and again. So, as always, if it's your first time using them, they're very, very tacky. So just de-tack it, say, on your jeans to start off with. I'm just going to pop it there. Now, again, if you're one of our new friends and followers, for me, I've got some Lavinia low-tack tape, and look, I write on it. And I'm actually just going to put a little bit extra here and here. And this is only because sometimes I get carried away when I'm adding my ink colours, and I'm likely to go over the edges. So colours we're going for today, lemon drop, and I'm just going to take the lid off as I introduce them. Russet orange, and then I'm going to add some pink elephant. If you don't have the pink elephant, and I know some of you haven't got it yet, the confetti will work beautifully. Mermaid. But again, use what you've got. And all I'm going to do is start with, and each colour, look, I will blend in the lid. And the reason for this is it blends the ink beautifully on the stencil brush. It's a gorgeous shape, perfect. And this is a good one to practice your stenciling. Now, if I want to see where my tree is going to go, I can just use the acetate, look. So I want the yellow bit to be sort of here. So that gives me an idea to just come in, look, and add some yellow there. Now, don't judge me, but the sticker stencils, you do have to watch. And I have to admit, I have got an Eric hair there. And that's my own fault, because as you know, I tend to put things on the floor. I find it, if I can't reach something, it's easy to drop it on the floor. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But I know there's a lot of you that have pets, so I know you'll understand. Next colour, russet orange. And I'm just going to go round, and you won't get a smooth blend to start off with. Well, to be fair, you won't get a smooth blend at the end, but don't worry. This is all part of the plan. I'm just adding that basic colour. I'm going to neaten it up in a minute, so again, don't worry. Now, this pink is very pink. So I'm just going to add a little bit round the edge here. And then just coming into the orange. And this pink really warms it up. and then into the blue, and that's really at the base here, and it makes quite a purpley colour. I'm going to add a little bit at the top because it'll make, as I say, sort of a purpley colour and give that, you see, if I bring the finished one in, that darkness of colour, and I like that, almost like a moody sky. Nearly said moody teenager. Obviously that's something completely different. So we'll just add a bit more at the base. So then I'm going to come in with the colours almost backwards now. I've gone light to dark, so now I'm going to blend in and move my way back. So I'm bringing that pink back in, and I've not inked my brush up, look. I think the orange I might just add a bit more, and we'll come in with the orange. And this is where the blending really happens, and this is the important bit, to come back in. And what I find really helps is to go over the whole thing with my yellow. And if I can bring this up to show you, you see how that, yes, we've got a slightly darker area here, but I'm happy with that. But look at that, I love that blend. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that way, go light to dark and then come back to your light and go over the whole thing with your light, for me, works really well. It's a good tip, that. Now, I'm just going to get my copy paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp that lovely tree, and we're going to use our black VersaFine Clair. An oak tree, you know, this will be beautiful. I've just had an idea, so thank you, whoever put that in my head. An oak tree is often used for knowledge and history. Imagine stamping it on the books. Now, I might just have to be doing that. The lovely pile of books we've got. Again, great idea for a man's card. I mean, it's often used for like your family tree. So if you needed to do a card and you could bring in family tree, that would be lovely. So it's a silhouette, and we've got a lot of ink on there, so I just want to make sure that it's going to stamp beautifully. So I'm not going to be in a rush to lift the stamp up. As you know, stamping's my weak point, and I always say this because I know there's other ladies and gentlemen that feel the same, so it's important that don't rush lifting it up. And especially if you're thinking it's important like this one, it's live when I'm doing a recording. So just give it time and then lift it up. And it was worth doing because look at that, it's stamped beautifully. Look at that detail. So what I am just going to do is with my black fine liner pen, I'm not altering the design. I'm just adding a little bit of grounding here, just to complement, to finish off that design. Now what I want to do is I want to add some splats, and splatters are great because if your blending isn't perfect, not only does it fold bleach so it lifts the colour out, it can hide any sort of imperfections, but I don't want to just use water this time. I want to come in, so I've got one of my acrylic blocks, look, and I mixed a little bit of my Mica Minerals, the Iridescent Violet, with water. And I did this a couple of hours ago, but I've got to be honest, I went off and had a brew in Cheeky Biscuit. But I want to show you, if it dries like this, don't worry. Just get your fan brush in water, and look, it will reactivate it. So for me, at the end of a session, when I've been using my Mica Minerals, I don't clean it up, I don't bin it, I keep it, because I know the following day, add some water and I can reuse it. So my splatters today are just going to be water, as we would normally use for faux bleaching, but I've added a little bit of the Mica Minerals. And I find the Iridescent Violet just gives, I wanted to just give a little bit of shimmer. I didn't want to add any glitter, but I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle and shimmer. So again, look, I'm going to leave that to dry because I'll be able to use that again. So now I can lift this off, and this will just peel off. And if you're conscious, for me, I just peel my card back, look, giving myself a corner there. lift off. Now what we'll do first is we'll give this a wipe. It wipes up beautifully. Bring the inky binky in to dry, and then that will go back on there. Pop it away and it'll be ready to use next time. And this, look, how beautiful is that? And when it dries, I'll bring the finished one in. Look at that shimmer. So as I say, you've got the shimmer. Now this one, I think, well, I need another sentiment sticker, don't I? Oh, there's so many. I think Inspire. Or My Story. Dream. Do you know what? I'm going to go for Dream. You know, it takes me longer to find. Now, again, the sentiment, we could pop it here, here. You could put one at the top and one at the bottom. But I think I'm just going to put it directly under our lovely tree there. But we've got the lovely heartfelt sentiments. So again, if it was for a birthday, and I'm just hoping that the camera will pick up that beautiful shimmer on there. I could have put rainbow, couldn't I? We could have added a little bit of a rainbow. See, there's another idea for you. So I'm hoping that helps, and I'm hoping you've got this beautiful stamp. And if you're starting off, oak tree, it's a fabulous one to have. I mean, we could even stamp our beautiful little pippin here, looking up at the, you know, fledglings. Like I say, it's a starting point. There's so much you can do with this. So as always, thanks so much for spending time with me. And thanks to those of you that leave lovely comments. I do appreciate that. Really appreciate them, and I read each and every one. So you take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.